this video is going to be coming out a little bit later than I hoped. So sorry if you already made the gear set for Albedo, but you know. How to properly build her. Essentially, this is the only character. You know what? I'll be covering all the characters in this video, but she's the focal point. Because honestly, out of all the characters in the collab, if I was a free-to-play player, this would be the only character I would actually invest resources on. I don't see any of the other characters in this entire collab being relevant to the point where it's worth, like, you know, putting on hammers and stuff for them, using up all your ambos. And, you know, maybe in the future, Ainz could be, or maybe even Shout here, but not at the current moment, I don't think, especially if I am free-to-play. But I went with attack crit defense. A little unusual, actually. I wanted to go with something weird. And is this the best gear set? After using it for a while, I don't have any complaints, but that's because I haven't tried HP defense. But what I did was, I'm not just going to use my narrow view of only having tried one thing and say that's the best. That'd be stupid. I went ahead and I checked every single gear set from every single player in top 100. I went on the entire list, and by analyzing the stats, I checked what gear set they were using. Because majority of the people in top 100 are using Albedo, I could assess a majority. So you can tell by the stats what gear set they're using, essentially. This player right here is using HP crit resistance. How do I know? The defense is way too low to be defense gear, and the HP is way too high to be attack gear. Let me show Maya, for example. Mine is at 12.6k defense, with crit resistance rolls. If I had defense gear or with defense rolls, she would be like 16k, like Hell here. Hell has defense gear. She has HP defense, so she's at, you know, 16k. She has defense gear with defense rolls. Low defense, low HP compared to the other one, because I have attack. My attack is way higher than the other person. So I can deduct that that is HP crit resistance. It could also be HP something else. I find that very unlikely. It's HP crit resistance. After analyzing every single gear from all the top 100 players, this is what I found to be the best. Or at the very least, what most of the top players are using. HP crit resistance. That is the gear set that, not basically all, I averaged, and majority of them are using. So crit resistance gear with crit resistance rolls, no defense rolls, because again, by doing the math, that's what I deducted. Some of them had HP defense, but almost none of the players had attack defense or attack crit, or, you know, attack crit or attack crit defense would be very hard for me to determine which is which. I don't think anybody's using attack crit on her though. So HP crit resistance is the what I would call optimal gear set for her. This has been the optimal gear set for any team that goes second for a while. Now, if you wanna, you know, Unknown is a team that wants to go second, right? With their kits, how the kits are made, they want to go second. So any character that wants to go second, you don't want to give defense to, because defense is a useless stat. And, you know, majority of people that have been playing the game for a while know, you know, defense is very bad. I don't know, I've seen how the math works in this game and why defense is bad, but it's actually really stupid. Like, how the defense stat interacts with the attack stat is very stupid. Just know that crit defense is the best stat for actual defense purposes. The reason why majority of the time I recommend HP defense over HP crit resistance is because of CC. Defense gives you a lot more CC than crit resistance. So for example, my Hell here is HP defense. If I wanted to be fully optimal, I would have given her HP and crit resistance, because most characters these days have very high crit chance. They're going to be critting very often. You're facing a lot of tiers very often. Tier lowers your crit resistance, so you're going to be getting crit very often. And crit defense, having like very high crit defense makes so even when you get crit, the crits you take do less damage than the non-crit hits. Yeah, so HP crit defense is the optimal gear set for her. But if you've already made the gear, because like it's been many hours since the update has actually dropped, and you've made the HP defense, honestly, don't worry. Your gear is not like awful. You have not ruined the character. All you've done is made a slightly worse version, which, being real honest, doesn't really matter. It only really matters if you want to be top 100. And my statistics would determine that 99.9% of you don't. And the 0.1% that do, you probably won't get it. Or, you probably have already done HP crew resistance because you're a seasoned like top 100 player and you already know that that's what you're going to do. So it doesn't really matter. If you've made HP defense, it doesn't matter. It won't make that much of a difference, but if you want to be truly optimal, HP crit resistance. Now, why am I showing still attack resistance? It's honestly because I don't want to make HP crit resistance for her. I know it's better, but like I literally just said, it doesn't matter. And because I like having fun more than being optimal most of the time, I don't care. For example, my tier, optimal tier, would have HP crit resistance, just like Albedo. My tier has attack crit. Do you know why? Because I like to see him do big damage. I genuinely don't care. I'm not going for top 100 because I've gone for top 100 before. It's an awful experience. And, I don't want to be burnt out in this game, being real. But I do have crit resistance rolls on him. I actually have 2 pieces. One for when I use him as a link. I actually will eventually give him HP defense. Tier is just too good of a link to not be given HP defense. But I have actually 2 gear sets, and I do give crit resistance to this one because defense is, like I just mentioned, a useless stat. So, there's no point not to. Let's move on to the other characters, and then I'm going to play with Albedo for a little bit. Ainz is a bit of a weird one. Just like Albedo, I went through all the top 100 players and checked what their stats were to determine what gear they were using. The difference is that Ainz isn't as used as Albedo, like not even close. There's actually quite a bit of people using Ainz because 6-6 Ainz is actually pretty good, and the top 100 players all have 6-6 Ainz, right? But majority of players were using HP defense. I think that if you are using Ainz, you kind of want to go first. The reason for it is because of all the stacking. If you can manage to stack, 3 of the debuffs in the first turn, then you can proc his instant kill in the second turn, and that's very, very effective. Or maybe, I wouldn't say very, very effective, but it can really mess someone up if they're not ready for it. And because Ainz is not a character you face very often, you can kind of forget that he's gonna do that. So HP defense is pretty good for the CC, but just like Albedo, if you maybe can't go first, I would say the HP crit resistance is better. In any case, if you are a free-to-play player and you're not 6-6ing Ainz, I wouldn't even make your gear for him. Play with him in ungeared for fun. I wouldn't waste resources on him because realistically speaking, he's not very good unless he's 6-6. And even at 6-6, he's not really optimal in the current meta. He's good though. Again, at 6-6, he is good. He's just not what I would say is the best. Tier, hell, Albedo is the best team. But Ainz is actually pretty good at 6-6. Now, Shalltier is a very obvious one if you want to use Shalltier at all. Again, data for her, very hard because not many people are using her. But attack crit for sure. She wants to do damage. And I found that... okay. I maybe should have paid more attention to her stats. Let me look at the list again. Let me put her on my team here. 21,000 attack, 14,000 defense. Let me look at the list again. Looking at it, I averaged that they were probably all using attack, but I could be wrong. After looking up again, there were only 2 people using Shalltier that actually had like a score. The week started like not that long ago. So like half of the top 100 is people that haven't even played really, played maybe 5 or 6 matches. Also, there's no reward, so why most people are not even playing. But one had attack and one had HP. So this one will be a little bit of a gray. But with my experience using her, with attack crit, majority of the time, she's not even performing. As in, it's really hard to, you know, get to the point where she actually can do damage. And even then, like, if you are facing Albedo, she's not doing anything. Most people using Shalt here right now are ult rushing because her ult is pretty good. So I would say, I mean, use your better judgment. I personally would only make gear for her if you actually like the character. I know a lot of people do. You know, they are, you know, fans of Overlord. They might even just make UR gear for all of the characters because they're fans. And that's fine, right? That's fine. If you are looking for, you know, just having fun with them because you like the characters. I would say if you want to have the most fun, personally I would make attack crit because you're going to see bigger numbers. But if you want to make HP crit or HP defense for her, it's not that bad. You're probably going to have better results with that in terms of tanking and then ult rushing. But attack crit is probably best because she is a mainly DPS. She has no defensive properties whatsoever. Like, she gets a little bit of extra HP from her passive, but that's about it. So those are all the characters. Let me play a little bit of Albedo and finish off the video. All right, before I get any comments, all right? Those were not all the characters. Those are all the characters that matter. Cocytus, this is the gear set you're going for him. R pieces. HP defense. Now, if you want to gamble on him being useful in a future final boss, you could give him HP defense. That will maximize stats and that will give you the most score. He isn't used for anything in the game at the current moment. 0 activities. He isn't useful for anything. So, why would you give him UR gear? At all. Other than being a insane person. I don't know. But, in any case, if you are, no judgment, HP defense it would be what I would give him. I wouldn't give him anything at all, even if he is good for them. Like, for example, right? Let's go to my Kizuna. Like, I think Kizuna is 10 times the unit of Cocytus, right? Do you want to know what my what my UR gear for Kizuna is? None. I have no UR gear for her. The activities that she's good for, she doesn't need UR gear. I just give her like a random set from someone else. Like, it doesn't matter. So, same thing for Cocytus, really. Ooh. I'm on the receiving end of this. That is interesting. Have not faced anybody using this team yet. Let's see. I mean, I'll be real. He's not using the Nasha here. He's missing out on a lot of defense. I don't think his Raphtalia is going to be hitting that hard. I did make a video on the Raphtalia plus Albedo team, and it's pretty good actually. But I would not be using Tarmi out there. Like, you're much better off using Nanashi in the front and then Gilthunder in the back to maximize Raphtalia. Because if you're not maximizing her, you might as well not even use her at all. I don't think. It's not going to hit that hard, to be honest. He has a lot of damage reduction. Oh, never mind. He almost killed her. Yeah, the one person didn't have Nanashi passive, right? But yeah, I'll maximize the defense and then work around trying to protect her and stuff like that. But like, obviously this is not a real player, so, but with a stance, and I mean, I don't know, because Albedo is insanely tanky, but with a stance you shouldn't be doing that little damage with her. She's really strong. But again, just to reinforce, this is the, I would say, #1 team in the game right now. Tyr, Albedo, and Hel. How long this is gonna last? Honestly, not so sure. I think just until November Festival. I cannot imagine they're gonna let this go through for very long. Tyr has been meta for way too long. Ooh, a Tyr Enjoyer. Not very common. Everybody's just running Tyr, Hel, and Albedo. It's really annoying. I know I'm adding to the problem right now, but you know, I'm just making an example. This is the best team in the game, so. When have we ever had a period in time where everybody just doesn't play the best team in the game, right? It's every single time. And that's fine, right? That's fine. The problem with ult rushing with Albedo, right? The problem is they can just make you counter into a Nanashi. And then you lose your ult gauge. Like if he attacks me with Hell, I'm gonna counter and then lose ult gauge. And he can just ult rush with Hell right now. So hope he doesn't realize that. He did realize that he attacked me. He did in fact realize that. Is he ult rushing with Hell though? If he's not, he should. Yeah, he should have done that instead. He should have done that instead, but whatever. I got the attack buff from that now. So this is gonna hit very hard. And then maybe might as well go for one of these, right? Who has Tarmalink here? Okay. Go for one of these. The attack buff from Albedo's thing is really stupid. Yeah, even if you auto rushed, I would have still killed. You gotta, you know, make sure to always utilize it well. Every single time the stance comes off, you're gonna get an attack related stat buff. This is when you really go in with tier, right? You want to maximize that. Especially if they decide not to attack into your Albedo and give themselves the debuff. Even like it is even better, right? That's not killing Albedo. Yeah. I guess he's going for double AoE? No. Hell is an incredibly annoying character. So this is why let's do some of this. This is why if you go for a Tarmil link on her, it's honestly not that bad. But I would go for Tarmil link on Albedo, to be honest. It's probably more important. Probably more important that she counters. I mean, I don't know. Maybe Tarmil link on Albedo is not as needed if you have HP co-resistance, but with attack resistance like me, probably is. Alright. That's it.